Hello, everyone. Welcome to the July 15th, 2024 public meeting of Shorewood Forest Utilities. And I'd like to introduce the people up here first at the table. We have our administrative assistant, Linda. I didn't forget your name yet. Newly elected member, Rick Moore. I'm Tom Zuff, been re-elected. President. Greg Schaefer, he's in year 3 of a 3-year term. He's always been on the board. He just ran into a few renegades along the way, but he's back and better than ever. And there are 2 people missing. One is a newly elected person, Jerry Marciniak. And then we have Bill Kappas, who's also in year 3 of a 3-year term. He can't be here, he's on the road. And we're doing things a little differently here. We're televising this so we can put this on the website. So we ask if you have a question, as you can tell, the camera's gonna be panning back and forth. Just come up and sit at the table so we're all at the same level, and you can ask your question, and then whoever answers it, the camera will pan over to us. And as you know, we've had the meetings in the past over at the barn. That's where we keep all the fuels, lubes, and crude, and crudes and stuff like that, oils. And the previous board felt that that was a better way to go than to have it here. But what's really nice about it is since we've been reelected, the POA says, oh, you can have the clubhouse for free. Before, we would have had to pay, and they didn't want to pay. So they decided to have it at the barn. But you can see we've got a crowd of maybe, I don't know, what do we got, about 35 people here maybe? And when we have it at the barn, we might have maybe about, I don't know, 8 or 9 people, and that's about it. So anyway, to just get that out of the way, the first thing, Greg, did I forget anything? Anything you want to add to that?
No, you covered it well, Tom.
Covered it well? Okay, plant operation hours. We used to be, had our hours from 6 o'clock in the morning to 2:30. But I talked to Kathy Bagos and I says, Kathy, that 2:30 to 4:30 slot, how does that work for you? And she says, that's when we get most of our people coming in. So we thought maybe it might be a good idea to have our hours from 8 o'clock to 4:30. This way then, hopefully we can catch the people on their way to work in the morning and maybe the people coming home in the evening for those who have to stop off, pay a check, get a receipt, something like that. And so that's why there's going to be a change, and I think that starts when? It's already kind of started this week a little bit, but Monday is the official start on that?
I think so. That's what
Rick,
we talked about.
Monday? Yeah. You talked about that? Okay. So Monday the hours will be from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Moving along, a newly hired maintenance crew. Our three employees that we had, they quit. And I've been doing this way back in last year. I was talking to Utility Services, and I go back as far as March of, let's see when it is. I think it's March of 2022, about March of 2022. And it's obvious it's cheaper. And we're going to get more done if we had Utility Services come in and do this for us than it is for us to have the people employed. It's just very, very expensive to have people come and work, to have people working for us. And so we're going to save a lot of money, and we save about approximately about $137,000 by having Utility Service come in. I know you've heard some reports that we're saving $300,000 by having our guys come in. That's not true, because we've had a lot of, and if you notice on your one handout, now I can't find my handout. Okay. So if you notice on your one handout, if you turn to I did forget one thing, I'm gonna have to go back. But on the last 2 pages, I've listed all the advantages of having utility services come in and run it for us. Now Linda's still here. Linda's not part of that. But we're gonna save a lot of money, and also there's just too many advantages. We can't afford not to do it. We've gotta, I just can't understand why the other board didn't wanna do this. It just seems to me like it just made good business sense, and I'm a numbers guy, so I'm always crunching numbers. But anyway, Greg has got, as far as with this new crew that came in, Greg's got a few things to tell you about it, about the plant operation. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself there, but I guess you can say it just made good sense. And one thing here, I also, on the second page, that's the, if you take a note, it shows you the vote total, because most of you probably don't know what the vote total is. So I thought I'd throw that page in there so you know, and you know who were the top 3 people. And so anyway, but does anybody have any questions so far? Yes.
Wait.
Gotta come up to the top.
Oh, you got to come up. That's right.
Sorry, and you need to say.
gotta-
I already
your name.
forgot.
Everybody around from back, so we're not traveling this cord, but you're fine this time, sir. But if we just go around back to get here, would be a little safer.
And I need your name, your lot, and your subdivision.
All right, my name is Chris Epp. I'm on the board of directors over on the Edgewood subdivision. And we were previously only had a half vote, and I noticed on here there's a lot of half votes on the vote counts. And one of the things that was going to be brought up was a whole vote for the other subdivisions. Is that coming to pat or coming to be fruition?
Yeah, what we did is we've, on here, and I thought I put it on here. We repealed, Greg will talk to you more about that. We repealed the previous board came up with some bylaws that were very unfair. And we repealed them, and we're going to get some people together and come up with a new set of bylaws. And yeah, that's the one thing that I'm adamant about, is you should get a whole vote. And legally, you have to get a vote.
Yeah, let me speak to that for whatever. And I have been touting this for quite some time, and actually I am really the cause of the half vote, I can tell you, because back about 12 years ago when they were bringing on Sagamore, if you will, I had brought to their attention, every time you bring a new subdivision in, they become owners under a 501c12 operation. That's how it works. Everybody's an owner, and you own part of the company, if you will. And I said, you know, you continue to water down the ownership of Shorewood, if you will, of the Shorewood utility. Now, what happened is initially when the subdivision first originally bifurcated and the developer left, the entire organization was divided into the Shorewood Forest POA, which was the Lakes Clubhouse and so forth, and then the Shorewood Forest Utilities, which used to be water and sewage. And then, of course, several years back, the Indiana American Water bought out the water plant. But in any event, I was very concerned about that. So the lawyers at that time said, well, here's what we'll do. We'll make the new customers only half votes. Well, that's a problem, because if you read the law on Indiana, on a 501c12 corporation, and please just type it in there and it'll come up. The federal government says, you know, that's it. We're all non-for-profit, and part of the non-for-profit status, we don't pay any sales tax, we don't pay any income tax, personal property tax, any of that. We pay nothing of that. We're all tax-free. But part of the deal is you've got to follow these rules. And one rule is each member gets one vote. They don't care how big your house is or how small your house is or how many houses you own. You get one vote if you're a member, plain and simple. Well, they thought it was real clever to do a half a vote, but what they really had done is put us at risk. Because if the IRS were to call an audit, if you will, and they found out we weren't following the rules, it's simple. Nobody goes to jail, no problem. Nobody's really in trouble, but you just get taxed as a regular C corporation. So you'd be subject to, our income's about $1,200,000 a year, thereabouts. We'd be taxed on that. Could pay up to $200,000 or $300,000 in taxes. And I'm saying, people, you can't do that. And we tried to educate the board on that. But this board and many people who have responded, much like yourself, has said, hey, we're entitled to the full vote, and yes, you are. Am I a favor of bringing in more new subdivisions? No. But right now, we have multiple different subdivisions. They have a right to a full vote, and I know this board collectively has agreed that it will be it's going to probably take a couple of months by the time we go through the bylaws. But I'm not going to speak for the board, but I'll let the board tell you for themselves. We are going to move to a full vote for all members, and that's not because we want to, it's because it's the law. Tom, what would your vote be on that?
I'd vote for, give them a full vote.
Rick? Full vote for Rick. And I can tell you, Jerry Marciniak, who is that lucky devil, is in Oregon right now visiting his family, and he is clearly on the same page. So that will be reversed, and you will get a full vote, and that will happen, like I say, it will certainly happen before we have another vote that requires the participation of the membership. So, does that answer your question, sir?
Yes,
okay.
thank you.
Any other questions in reference to that, sir, in the back? You'll have to come up. And you know, here, what happened to our chairs there? Who took those chairs out of here? I mean,
You took them out of there.
oh, I did that. Oh, okay, we have a question here. We'll start here.
Ray Colton.
My name's Greg Colton, and I was president of the board a few years ago, and what he says about 501c12 is 100% accurate. We got an opinion from a guy who does not, from an attorney who does nonprofit work. 501c12 does require one vote for every member. So we've done the half thing. The consequences of the half vote have never come into play on any of the elections that have happened, so that would be the argument we'd be making if the IRS were to come looking. But we do need to make that change. You might say, hey, it's against my interest to give up, you know, another half vote to these folks. It's in your interest not to have to pay taxes.
Well said. Well said. Anybody else that would like to address that issue? Because we're going to kind of go through.
Well, I was going towards the issue that Tom asked was utility services question.
Okay,
Yes,
are you going
go
to come up and, you have to come up and identify yourself, if you will. And again, lot number, address, either or. And then what subdivision you're from too. Because everybody, there's a lot of.
Shorewood, 832.
Okay, but.
What was
if
that?
you'll
I
do-
didn't hear
Bill
it.
Morgan, Shorewood, 832.
Okay, very good, sir.
So I have just a quick question, and I'm educating myself to everything that's going on, and to my shame, the first meeting I went to was candidates night. The one thing I was concerned with is outsourcing maintenance. And on candidates night, I asked Jerry, and I believe you replied too, Rick, would you pledge to, if we hire an outside source for maintenance, that it would go to a membership vote? That didn't happen. So I'm wondering why and when we would be able to have a say on that and become educated, because I think there's pros and cons. And that was my big concern, because one side says save, one side doesn't. I don't want this to turn into another First American, okay, which is a different topic. But now we're obligated to somebody else doing maintenance, and the new candidate said we'd get a vote.
Yeah, well, Greg, when we get to the operations report, Greg will have a few things that'll enlighten you. But what happened was Wednesday, our three employees quit. And then they called up Indiana Department of Environmental Management and said, hey, they don't have anybody to run, any certified person to run that plant. And so maybe they were thinking that IDEM was going to come down with a few trucks, bust our chops. I'm going to get on the phone, call up, offer them $5,000 a piece to come back to work. But I've been kind of working on this. There's been 5 contract revisions on this utility service thing that I've been working on for quite a long time. And this contract was ready to go. I showed it to Greg and showed it to Rick, and I says, let's just hire utility services, problem solved. We want to sign all contracts in front of everybody, but we couldn't. We had to get somebody in there right away. And the only other thing we could have done maybe is, there's a company, MRO, I believe it is, where they'll come out and babysit the plant for a day. That gets really expensive. But that's why we had to do what we did.
I appreciate an emergency situation, but it could have been a short-term contract.
It is, it's only
until-
till the end of the
Let
year.
me
Oh,
speak to it.
okay,
Let me
okay.
speak to it.
All right, I did not know that.
I'm absolutely opposed of having the membership have a say-so in actually how the stream of management's gonna be controlled. If all 1,200 people wanna become up to speed on what is going on in the plant and knowing what supervision is required, what is maintenance is being ignored or is being done, if all 1,200 do that, then we can do a vote like that. But until that time, it's my opinion that the 1,200 members, if you will, they vote for a directorship, if you will, and those directorships are charged with the duty to make those tough decisions. Now, I don't think there's anybody in the room, that, other maybe a person or two, that might be at the level of knowledge of what we just went through, including the spills on Shorewood Drive, the spill on Wilshire Court, what just happened to our utility plant, and just on the day the employees decided to quit and walk off the job, we were under four high level water reports, if you will, meaning this plant in 4 locations might have an overflow for whatever. And these 3 people decided to get up and leave, if you will. They decided, we're done. They threw up their hands and we're done. Now, you might think that we should then have pulled the entire 1,200 people to see what they do. No, we have to react to it. We have to react to it immediately for whatever. So we were fortunate enough, like Tom was saying, being negotiating with utility services for over 8 months. They manage all of Winfield Township sewer system. They do Falling Waters sewer system.
17 states.
They are in 17 different states, and they are just magnificent at what they do. Now, like I said, heavy rain was up. It's a downpour, and these 3 decide they're mad and they're going to leave. Now, let me tell you why they're mad. I turned around and I come right out there with the umbrella. This is a little long, but it's worth hearing because
Can I sit down with you, Tom?
You sure can. You sure can.
And just to interrupt, I appreciate the emergency situation. And I said, I'm trying to educate myself what's going on, but, and I appreciate your answer.
I appreciate what you're saying. Again, so what happens is I come up, there is, the most dangerous thing we have is that 100% of the sewerage flows into what's called a primary lift station in the utility plant. In that primary lift station, all piping from the entire subdivision and from every subdivision around it goes into that lift station for whatever. Now, the situation is there's 3 pumps that sit in that lift station, 3. And under normal conditions, 2 pumps work perfectly fine. Even in the middle of the night, probably 1 pump would keep up. These are 15 horsepower pumps. They're very powerful pumps, if you will, and they're designed to move thousands of gallons of water a minute, or sewage rather, thousands of gallons. Well, I come out to the site, if you will, and I turn around and I say, what's the problem? He said, well, I believe I'm getting a bad indicator off what's called a transducer. And I'm saying, yeah, what's the bad indicator? He says, well, we've got a high water level. And I said, sir, just look down in the pit. It's not a rocket science. I said, I can't see the pumps anymore. Normally you'd see about half the pump or whatever. I said, you know, why are you worried about an instrument when I know it's on high water? Now you know, Mr. Ash has been around for a long time. He's just misguided here. So I said, oh, boy, I go right to a telephone. I call the other 4 board directors. I said, you know what? There's a pump missing. There's only 2 in that pit, and there should be 3. And I come out and I ask Forrest, I said, what's going on? He goes, oh yeah, well, we had 2 pumps go bad, and they're both at the shop right now. So I'm saying, so we're down to 2 pumps. We have a high water level going on in the plant for whatever. A potential risk is that we're going to have another overflow for whatever. We just had one on Wilshire, which the POA was infuriated about, that we didn't contact them immediately. We'll address that for a minute. But the fact of the matter is we had to react immediately. So the four board members were contacted. They all said, buy a new pump as fast as you possibly can. We called the Indianapolis firm. They're saying there's one I can get you one over there in Chicago. It's about an hour and 20 minutes away. And I direct Mr. Ash, say, get somebody in that truck and go get me a pump for whatever. He just flat out ignores me. I'm saying, can nobody hear me for whatever? So I said, Forrest, please get somebody in that truck. Forget the sensor. Get me a pump for whatever. That he throws up his hands and says, "That's it, I quit, we're out of here." And then the three of them march off. Why the plant sits wide open, we have not only that pit, but our micro screeners are down, which is another primary piece of equipment. Nature preserve lift station is in high water also. And I'm saying these three guys just throw up their hands and say, "We're done." I'm saying, well, they have a right to do that. I quickly called the other board members, tell them exactly what we got. He said, "Try to get a hold."
I says, I'll get a hold of Bob Gertson and get him in here and we'll sign a contract.
3 hours later, Bob Gerstmann shows up for whatever. And he has a contract that we had already negotiated for whatever, and we were trying to fine tune it, which we did. And we signed his contract. He has 4 people, and actually they tell me 3 people, but they have 4 people on that job site within an hour taking care of these problems. As of just 2 days ago, again, they had fixed the they fixed the headworks by putting the new pump in, which we got the following day. They went ahead and today they fixed both microscreens, because both of them were broken and in disrepair. They fixed they also fixed the nature preserve pump system, which one of them was plugged solid for whatever. And there was one more thing they did, I can't quite remember. But the point being is he brought his team in, and I mean, bing, bang, bang, this thing was, go ahead.
Tank number 3, the aeration stopped.
Oh, yeah.
That's the other thing.
That was another thing. We have a big part of treating sewage is the aeration process. You have to be continuing to add air to it, but we don't need to go into that. But the point being is, these people moved in, and I'm telling you, with the people knowledgeable, they get out of the truck knowing what they're doing. As of today, all problems have been resolved. We have no high water levels on anything for whatever. All the equipment is running. Now the only thing we have left to do is clean the lift stations, which have been.
In fact, Sunday night, they were here at 2 o'clock in the morning taking care of the problem, where the first thing that happens is the sewage comes in and it goes past our micro screens. Both micro screens were down. And they got them back up and running. Right. Both, which means all the
sewage is going
right into our aeration tank.
Correct.
There's nothing to catch it. And they're out here, they're on the spot, they're 360, they're 24 hours a day, 365 a year. They're here within 2 hours, they promise. You can't beat that. Can't beat that service.
Their service was magnificent as far as that goes.
Were there any violations?
Come, if you'll take your seat.
No, we got lucky.
Yeah.
We got lucky.
There was no because we act fast enough, if you will. You'll have to take a seat. You'll have to come up to the front. No.
Susie, no, just come up here.
Yeah. Sit at the table and identify yourself. We're not going to permit call-outs from the audience because we don't know who they are.
We can't swing the camera
Videotape.
around.
You can't swing
Yeah, we're
around. You
videotaping.
just take a seat right
Hard
there.
to
Just
swing the camera around.
Sit over there.
No, you
right
get
here.
the
Right, ma'am,
camera.
right here.
I'm gonna prefer.
No, ma'am, right here. If you want to speak, it's right here. You're not right. Okay, next question.
Oh, hold it.
Next
This one. Okay, Susie.
It's just
Lot
about,
number, whatever.
yeah, so I have a question about the day that the employees allegedly just up and quit. So there's been a lot of rumors circulating, and one of the rumors circulating, so I'm here to ask you, did you pull out a gun?
Yes, I had a gun with me. Yes, I did.
Why did you have a gun?
I carry a gun all the time.
Do you have a gun on you right now?
I do not.
So you do not carry one all the time?
When I'm with my grandchildren, I go into the house to get my gun, but I'm well within my right to carry a gun in the state of Indiana.
He even
That's
called
not
the police.
That's not the question. I'm saying, did you have a gun on that day?
Yes, I had a gun, yes.
Why did you have the gun on that day when you went?
I carried the gun, 90% of the time I have the gun on me, 90%.
Okay, so what was your business to go there that morning?
Just to run
Engage the
just to run the
employees?
utility, that's all.
No, you actually are not the person who runs the utility. That would be the plant manager, Forrest Ash.
But Forrest
No,
Ash takes,
he takes, excuse me, he takes direction from the board of directors.
right.
That
He
would
is an employee.
That would be.
You might be argumentative for
Correct.
whatever, and you're gonna get your 2 or 3 minutes, and you're gonna grandstand, that's perfectly fine for whatever. But the fact of the matter is,
What do you think you're doing? Nothing wrong with you're doing. You're doing the exact same thing.
hold on.
Let her talk.
So it's really, really, really important to get to the truth. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
So here's this opportunity for you to tell your side of the truth. Wouldn't you love that opportunity?
Not only would I love that opportunity, but do you know it's on video? It's
That's
on phone. It's on
wonderful.
phones.
I'm
It's on telephone.
Super grateful.
It's on
video.
telephone. It's
Super grateful.
yes,
It's in my video.
yes.
Make sure you don't edit that video, okay?
No,
So-
they edited that video already. They've already taken off the video where where one of the employees was charging at me for whatever, and I just said, stop right where you're at. I said, you are not gonna threaten me again, which he has done before. Ma'am, you're gonna let me finish, because I know you have a tendency to try to talk over everybody. But on 143 Brockton, I have on videotape, excuse me folks, at 140 Brockton, I have on videotape where he again comes up to me, if you will, calls me an old man, which I am, I'm saying, and starts giving me a bad time on that job site. This time I said, no, sir, you just stop right where you're at. I said, stop right where you're at. I said, you are not going to threaten me again for whatever. So I reached in my pocket. This is, I probably shouldn't have reached in my pocket. I reached in my pocket, and I bring my...
No, he said you're gonna pull your cell phone out.
Right. He says, as I'm putting my hands in the pocket, he goes, go ahead, pull your phone out. Pull your phone out. I said, okay. I said, I pull it out. I said, and I have opened, I'm not holding the West like this, by the way. It's never pointing. I opened the West. I said, that is not an iPhone. Mr. Ash says, okay, everybody calm down, calm down. He stops his movement toward me for whatever. The entire thing is disarmed right then and there. So they decide to rush down to the building, if you will. I quickly call the police. I'm saying, uh-oh, this is getting out of control. So I call the police. 3 squad cars show up. They run into the building and start loading up equipment in the back of their pickup truck. And I said, whoa, wait a minute. He goes, oh, this is our own personal equipment. And the policeman just looks at me and says, you know, what are we going to do here for whatever? And I said, well, I'm going to at least take a picture of this equipment they're loading up. And I said, if it weren't for you guys showing up, God knows what they would have loaded up. And he says, I see, understand completely. And that really was the end of it for the day. They turned around and they drove off, if you will. The police cars waited for them to leave for whatever, and then it was completely over with. They walked off with a snowblower. They walked off with a what's called a engine crane. It's a little hydraulic crane that lifts an engine out, if you will. And I'm saying, they claimed it was theirs. I'm saying, we weren't going to make a big stink about that. Let them go. And the policeman says, well, you do have a copy of that. And I got a picture of the automobile, too, along with the place. And that was the end of the story. So whatever story is going on out there is just incorrect, because that is exactly what happened. Now,
That's your version, right?
yes, that is my version. That is correct. That is my
So
version.
there's probably also another version.
Correct. That's the version. Yes, exactly.
That's your version.
Yes.
Okay.
Obviously, I just told it.
Okay, but that might not be the truth, right? That's
What?
your version of the truth.
No, that is the truth.
That
It's
is
not a
the
version
truth.
of the truth.
They
That
have
is what
probably-
happened.
But they probably have another version, right?
Yeah, they might.
Right, okay. So let me just get back to why you were there in the first place. Why were you there in the first
Oh,
place?
it was really, I was just out for a walk, if you will, when I found out that our main lift station only had 2 pumps in it, and we were on high water alert, and the tank was filling up faster than the 2 pumps could. That's all. It was
Let me
no
ask,
big
what
deal.
is your
You probably would have
certification to
overlooked
run
that.
a
You might have
plant?
overlooked that for whatever, but I
What is your
felt the
certification
emergency
to
to get
run
the
a
3rd pump in
Let her
there.
talk.
What-
Wait, no, they're not to talk over me. When I'm done talking, she can talk.
You haven't stopped.
Yeah. Sorry, sir. I'm very sorry. But when I'm done, she's welcome to have the floor when I'm done. But the fact of the matter is, the board of directors had ordered him to go get another pump, and he was just flat out ignoring that order. Period.
I'm just asking you your qualifications for running a sewage plant. What are your qualifications for running a sewage
Well,
plant?
I'll tell you. When I see the water level going up in the tank,
No, I'm talking about
I'm
certifications.
gonna tell you that it's-
Qualifications, education.
can I answer your question? You want to know what my level? First of all, I've been in the construction development business for 50 years. I've worked for Twin Lakes Utilities. I worked for the city of Gary, Hammond, Munster, all in sewer system projects at 2 or 3 different companies in Illinois. So I do have some knowledge.
Do you have a certification?
No,
to run
I do
a
not.
sewage plant?
No.
No,
That's
I do
the-
not.
No board member in the history of the SFU has any certification to run a plant.
Okay, so neither does he.
Nobody does.
Okay,
But
that's-
the forest ash or the plant manager takes direction from the board.
Well, he.
And when
can't
you see a
possibly take
problem,
direction
you
from the
have to
board
get-
When he has the certification to actually run the plant. So he has to use his knowledge, expertise, education.
It
Because
wasn't
he has the
getting
certification.
done.
Correct.
Okay, so this is.
We had to step in.
Okay, so
Go on.
there's 5 board members, 1 board member shows up and feels like he needs to interject
Interfere.
himself into
Interfere.
this situation
Ah.
where the plant manager is working. So now the plant manager is working and so are the two other employees. They're working. You come in.
Now, wait a minute,
and
how do you know they're
interject.
working? Do you know, were you there? Did you see what was going
Well,
on?
they're at work.
Yeah, but they're doing, the only one that's working is Mr. Ash, who's trying to think that the sensor is improper. He doesn't like the sensor showing a high level for whatever, and I'm saying, and he's fumbling with some wire, and I'm saying, forget the wire, get me a new pump. I need a third pump in
But
that hole.
again, you're not even qualified to give him
Yeah,
that
you know
advice.
what, it
But
does-
where were the other two employees in relation
Just
to you and Mr.
walking,
Ash?
just walking about the site, like grazing like cows. I mean,
So is it
that-
possible they were going to get something or come back? and
no,
do
they were
something?
just walking
They were
about the
just
site.
walking, wow, and
Yeah,
that means that they're
just
not
walking
working.
about the site.
They could have possibly been walking, right? You're.
It says-
No, let me.
wait, wait, wait,
I wanna know-
Susie,
Okay, you're done. You've had your
Susie,
time.
we're not gonna sit here for 3 hours tonight while you're acting like a lawyer.
All right.
These people wanna hear what we're gonna do.
Linda,
He
call
pulled
the
out
lake
a
patrol.
gun. He
Call the
pulled
lake
out a
patrol.
gun. He pulled out a gun.
Hold.
To our
He
employees.
showed a gun.
He pulled out a
He
gun.
didn't have his finger on the trigger. In the last 3 days, Rick and I, along with Greg, have been working at that plant.
You should ask why there was a gun at a job site. You're basically, our 3 employees got scared
Indiana law says you can.
and left. Wouldn't you be scared if a gun was pulled out on you?
Is there anybody else?
Who wouldn't be scared here?
Is there anybody else?
We're
Sir?
responsible for the SFU, not these.
You're welcome, sir.
Would you like to bring our shirt?
No, sir, right here. This is where the microphone's at, if you don't mind. I could
return it for
Well, yeah, thank you, sir. That'd be appreciated.
So, my question to you is, who's gonna have oversight over this company that you're hiring to?
The board.
The board of directors.
You guys have, you're going to check up on what they're actually performing for you?
Oh, of course.
Well, yeah, it's
They've
all
got
listed
logs.
in this, in the paper. If you look at all the advantages,
It's-
you know, they're providing all the monthly reports and everything for us. They're even come to the meeting. It's just that this meeting was kind of put on at the last minute. So Bob Gertzen, he's out of town tonight. He could not be here, but he'll be here at all the other meetings. So you can ask him directly. He'll be giving the shop
reason I
report.
ask you this question is I read through everything that you've got written here, and it sounds a little too good to be true for the cost savings that you're claiming here. This company's gonna have costs for their employees as well. They're gonna have to pay workers' comp insurance.
Of course, sir.
Here's
And
the-
everything that you guys were paying for your own employees.
Right.
Contractors pass those costs along. I'm a contractor. I've been cleaning sewers and industrial maintenance at a steel mill for over 40 years. So I have a little bit of a background in it too. You're not going to avoid some of these costs. And my question to you about oversight is because it's not untypical for contractors to find additional ways to bill you for things and claim that this has to be done, that has to be done. There's a big sewer problem here, we have to work on this. We're gonna charge you by the foot, or we're gonna charge you, however they're determining how they're gonna charge you, there's gonna be extras involved. How are you gonna manage that? Who's going to
Well,
give you
here's the thing.
oversight of this?
It's kind of like, let's look at it this way. Let's say you own a restaurant and you have 5 employees working there and you only have 5 customers all day. But the owner says, we gotta have 5 employees because we just might get that bus that shows up with 40 people on it and we gotta be able to serve all 40 people. But that bus never comes and they're always losing money. Okay, you don't need 3 people to run this plant. You need 1 person to run this plant. And they'll always make sure there's 1 person here. Maybe they may be gone for a couple hours, but they come back in the day. That's how they end up being cheaper than hiring your own employees. Because we're not paying for 3 people. We don't have work for 3 people. Only when there's a catastrophic event do we have work for 3 people, and then they'll bring 5 people.
They're in a monthly contract, if you will, for service
So
and,
it's a set cost?
pardon?
It's a set cost?
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
sir, right. It's
$118,500 a year.
Right. And
Set
it-
cost. Now, if things break down in the middle of the night, yeah, it's gonna cost, it's gonna cost extra for that. The object of the game is to keep things from breaking down, in that time period. You
So
want
in
to
your
break down in
budget,
the
what do you
daytime.
anticipate your spend is going to be on a year with these extras that you need to give consideration to, because nothing runs according to plan.
Well, unfortunately, with the amount of maintenance that has been lacking for whatever, like for instance, both of our microscreens went down, both of them, not one of them, but both of them. And that's your pre-screening process where it rakes out the paper and solids, and they throw plastic, little, when you clean your teeth, sometimes they're throwing it. This rakes all that out. Not only one had been broken for over 3.5 weeks, the other one went down in the middle of the night. So Gertzman brings his team in for whatever, and in about 4 or 5 hours, they were able to fix and repair the other one and have the other one up and running. The next morning, in about 2 hours, they have the second one up and running. Now, why can they do that in 4 or 5 or 6 hours, but our team was, again, why did we wait 3 or 4 weeks to repair the other one? I'm saying, we made the decision. The decision's over with. These people are running the plant, and I could not be happier with their service. It's incredible. They had to set the new pump. Their crane shows up, set the new pump. Now we have the 3 pumps in the hole, if you will. If an emergency comes up, the system's gonna run like it's designed. It's not gonna limp along on 2 because we didn't have the second pump in there. So we are gonna make those calls, and in the next election, if you think we're not doing a good job, you vote us off also. But lift stations will be timely cleaned out. Twice a year, they're gonna be
Let me
cleaned
give you
out.
one last tip.
Sure.
When you're talking to employees, it's probably not a good idea to bring a firearm with them. I have a permit to carry a firearm as well.
Well, then
But
in the
you're
end, you don't need one,
creating-
sir.
Well, I know that you're within your legal rights,
Right.
but you're creating a hostile work environment.
Well,
You got employees who feel threatened.
the hostile work-
I understand the lady's point, okay?
I-
If you were there working, you probably wouldn't be real comfortable about somebody doing that.
well,
to
one
you.
of them is a big-time hunter, if you will, and for him to have a gun even in the truck is fairly common. So I appreciate your input, and we thank you for your time. Is there anybody else that has a question? Thank you, sir. You're welcome.
I'm sorry, what was your name?
Your name, lot number.
You can sit.
You gotta sit down.
Okay, she doesn't.
Maggie Diaz, Shorewood 378. This is for you. After reading all the negative comments and rhetoric that you posted on Nextdoor for all of Valpo area to read about Shorewood, I have absolutely no trust in you, Greg Schaefer, and I truly question if your motives are for the good of Shorewood residents and the utilities or for your own personal vendetta. This election and coup takeover is very concerning, so prove me wrong, Greg.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. Anybody else?
I'm a little confused on the takeover part. It was an election. I'm trying to get back to it. I'm trying to get to the legal part.
Jeannie Morgan, lot 362 Tremont Lane, 832. Never known the lot number. You'll hear that every time. My concern is with Nextdoor, and I've brought this up many times, and I've pleaded for both the SFU and for the HOA, POA, to stop posting on Nextdoor other than on Shorewood's part of that. And I would like to hear from all of you, and we're missing 2 people, but I'd like to hear from them too, that there's a pledge that Nextdoor business is on Shorewood's site, not on the open market for Porter County and anybody else. And I know that everybody can join at Shorewood's Nextdoor, but I find it incredibly embarrassing and incredibly distasteful for the stuff that's been posted out for the general public. It's awful. It just is disgusting. And I would like to hear that this will stop. And that would be a pledge from all of you and the other 2. And that's what I have to say.
Well,
Thank you.
I'm old school. I never been on Next Door Neighbor in my life. I mean, I've read some of the comments that come in, but I never posted anything. I'm just like, nah, I don't feel like doing this. So I never had. I don't know, Rick, you been?
There's one question. All I want to know.
Identify your name.
Mike Herbert.
Come in, can you just help us out here? The photographer wants to get you here.
Yeah, Mike Herbert, 225 Shorewood Drive. All I want to know, we're going to have this new company. We're going to guarantee there's no stink in my backyard, right? I'll call
You'll have-
you guys
you'll have
if
less
there's
of-
a stink, right?
Call me
I
anytime,
need
day
your
or
phone
night.
numbers.
Yeah.
I need your phone numbers now,
mine
because
right
I'm
now.
definitely gonna call you if there's stink. These other crew, I don't care what you say about them, I very, very seldom smelt anything.
Well,
So you guys are gonna guarantee that this corporation is gonna keep this community free of that stink?
We can't guarantee.
No,
what
they're,
we can guarantee.
you know what, the other people had it down.
no, sir. No, sir.
I live right, that's my backyard. Don't tell me no, sir.
Sir, I'm in the plant daily, and you used to be able
So
to
am
walk.
I.
You used to be able to
So
walk.
am I in the plant daily.
Okay, sir.
And I can tell by the stink.
Okay, and you've never had stink.
There's one or two times when I called and it went away, but you know what? I've been there since 2017 and the stink probably maybe a week. But it was all, you know, not in a row, okay? And then I want to know something else. You talk about how you're going to save 34,000 in chemicals.
Because they're paying the chemical bill.
They're using
They're paying the
chemicals to treat
chemicals.
the plant. That's exactly right, sir.
They're telling us that if you're using chemicals in that plant, it's because you got a problem and you can't solve it, and you're medicating the plant to just get the numbers down so you pass IDEM's requirements for the month, as far as you know the different.
Yeah, you sure can.
The,
Can I have yours?
Huh?
I need, you need yours first.
IDEM has requirements for different kinds of, whether it's BODs, biological dissolved oxygen, or phosphate, or something like that. You have a range. So we're over medicating the plant to keep the range down, and Bob Gertz says, "You can't use all those chemicals." He says, we'll take care of this problem. We'll hardly be using any chemicals. That's why they say, yeah, we'll pay the chemical bill. So yeah, we're saving $34,000 because that's what it cost us to run that plant with those three guys. So I'm just telling you, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay,
But,
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, we're gonna go back to the agenda here a little bit, Tom, right?
We're getting back to the agenda.
I didn't hear a pledge about the next door, by the way. I didn't hear a pledge from anyone.
My pledge is you ain't gonna worry about me. I don't go on it.
I know that, Tom, and I appreciate that. Thank you for your hard work.
Rick, you been on Next Door Neighbor? You have? Oh yeah, you made a comment or two, didn't you, or something? Or no? Okay. Okay. He's on vacation, but I think he might have. I think Jerry Marciniak, I don't know if he's posted anything or not. I don't know. I'm not on there, so I don't know what's going on. Oh.
I think I have one more question.
You have my word on what, sir? On what?
I was just wondering, the bylaw changes, as far as us people getting the vote, when we go over 500,000 or whatever.
That's a dumb thing. That's dumb.
It'll go away now.
That's going to go away. I believe if we're over $100,000, the community should be voting on it. Well, that's just my personal opinion. Yeah, every year, every 366 days, the board could spend $500,000. That's stupid. That's just stupid.
Bylaws or what?
Cut that. Well, it's already in the bylaws that 500,000 needs to be cut down.
No, I mean, cut it.
No, wait a minute. Let me clear the air on that. First of all, we repealed the bylaws that were just revised by Jackie Hobson and her team. All those have been repealed, which was well within our authority. Now,
Wait
prior,
a minute. We've gone back to the 2009 bylaws, the
Right.
ones we've always been using.
correct.
We
yeah.
didn't get rid of bylaws.
No, we just,
We just went back to the other ones until we can assemble a team, and I'm not into this where the board just says, okay, we'll make the bylaws and then we'll ram it down their throats, you know, or we won't even let them vote on it, and that's what happened. I'm in favor of that. There's a team put in place, the community has input, and everybody gets a say, and they're written that way.
we can't have call, sir,
No.
we cannot, we're not gonna pit people hollering. You're welcome to come up here, sir, and make your comment. But we're not,
All
the
we
camera
did
cannot
was
get it,
vote-
and we're gonna recognize who's saying what. That's what the membership's
Those
entitled to.
2024 bylaws were voted on by the previous board. And I voted no. And I believe I voted no, or I didn't even know about it. I don't know.
Okay,
because
Tom, let me have the floor for a minute. Okay.
But
Yeah, sure. You got up there pretty quick, sir.
Well, this might help clear up.
Name,
Yes.
lot,
Thank you. Michael Peasley, I don't know what my lot number is, 370 Wilshire Court, Shorewood.
was it Michael what?
Peasley.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So you're talking about transparency, we're talking about bylaws, we're talking about the membership, we're talking about voting, all of that. I just recently voted. Greg Schaefer's name was not on the ballot. How is he here and why is he speaking for us?
Greg,
Can you
I can
explain
answer,
that
yes, sir.
process?
I can certainly answer. In 2022, I was voted on the board by the membership, if you will, and that you, in this utility, you serve actually a 3-year term. Then somewhere in like about a year back, 3 of the board members, if you will, which would have been Hobson, Silsky, and Kappas, if you will, decided that they had the authority to remove a board of director. So they had their little coup. They had a private meeting. They followed no rules, and there was absolutely nothing in the bylaws, articles of incorporation, code of ethics, or the trump card Indiana code that says if you're a non-for-profit organization and your directors are elected by the membership, which would be you people, only the membership can remove that director. End of story. There's no middle ground on that. There's no language different than that anywhere. But the 3 of them just circumvented the entire process and say, well, you're just off. So like they had the authority to go into a meeting and say, we are circumventing the membership's 1,200 votes that said, we want Greg Schaefer to represent us. We're short-circuiting that for whatever. Now, I went to attorneys, and every attorney I talked to turned around and says, oh yeah, just file a lawsuit. I said, oh Jesus, another lawsuit? I said, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not going to follow another lawsuit that the utility is going to have to pay for whatever. So I said, we'll just wait till the next election, get the air cleared, let the new board decide what they think is right for whatever. And the fact of the matter, they made the decision that they did not have authority to remove me for whatever, and they just simply put me back. And I've never been off the board. I've just been frozen out of doing business. I'm not allowed in the meetings. They don't call me for a vote. They just decide this all on their own court. And I'm very sorry that if anybody takes an objection to that, but the membership voted me on, not those 3 people, and those 3 people don't have a right to vote me off. Now, this will probably end up in litigation yet, though I hate to tell you, because they have created a great deal of, they've claimed I've created malfeasance.
Well, Greg, there's a lot of conflict that's been created. We'll just put it that way, right?
yes.
There's been a lot of
They,
conflict that's
Fair
been
enough,
created.
fair enough there.
they did something similar to me. They left me on the board, but they said back in March 20th, 2023, I got a letter from Tony Selsky. He says, after consideration, the board has agreed to impose the following sanctions on you effective immediately. Number 1, removed from the office of treasurer. They didn't want me seeing the numbers because they didn't want me giving Greg any of the numbers. Number 2, appointed to the office of vice president. That's a do-nothing. That's just a do-nothing job. Number 3, exclusion from legal matters and information. Number 4, rescind check signing privileges. So these 3 board members have decided, let's kick Greg off, but we don't want to kick Tom off too because, boy, that looked really kind of suspicious. So let's sanction Tom. We all have the same right. It's only when 3 are together where you can, make laws and pass things. And they just said, well, Tom, we're not going to. In fact, not only that, but they told Linda, don't tell me anything. I had to play 20, right, Linda?
I wasn't, yeah, you didn't have your email up, and I wanted to call you and tell you.
Yeah, but she can't, because they told her, don't tell Tom. Now, I'm a board member just like them. But they decided they are gonna run the show, and they're gonna ice out everybody else. So I had to play 20 questions with Linda. If I didn't ask the right questions, I wouldn't know what's going on. That's your previous board.
I have one other question. It's somewhat unrelated, but I'd like clarification on it. There's a lot of inference that occurs about the passion that's occurring within this board, so I'm just gonna flat out ask it, and no offense intended whatsoever. It's a literal question. Does anyone on this board or any prior boards receive any compensation or benefit or in their business interests that are involved as a result of your affiliation or decision-making on this board?
Well, I've done, as my construction company, I've done 3 or 4 small tasks for the utility with my excavating machines under the direction of Mr. Forrest Ash, who actually asked me to perform that. I used to even keep one of my excavating machines at the utility, so if we needed to offload a truck or get a scoop of stone to go someplace, which I was never paid for, mind you, that in fact happened for whatever. But I beg of you.
That was donated time?
What's that?
That was donated
That,
time?
yes, but I'm
Okay.
saying, but I've had some jobs where, you know, it's a full day job, and I'm gonna bring a $200,000 machine out there. It uses $150 worth of fuel, put an operator in there on top of it, and do it for free, but it was always pre-agreed upon price-wise. But I ask you to ask a Shorewood Forest POA. I've done 35, 40 jobs for them. Absolutely not even a whisper of a problem for whatever. Please do. Go into the office and ask them for whatever.
Dave Wisniewski's our pump guy, and they put him on the board.
Yes, and
he just got
he's
off
the salesperson.
on the 8th.
He does all the there has been several rebuilding of our pumps for whatever. He lives right here in the subdivision. In fact, he was the one that they claimed took my position on the board when removed me from the board. How is
Just because I just want to clarify I'm understanding correctly. So are you saying that you do receive compensation and
well,
benefit?
sure, I was paid.
or
I say I
About
would say
$1,700 or
three-
something like that.
Yeah,
I
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
$1,700.
over
I think it
several
was over
3-4
3 years,
jobs.
4 years, something like that.
Yeah. So if you're thinking I'm lining my pockets with the utility, I promise you I'm not.
I'm not thinking anything. I'm trying to clear the air and understand.
Sure.
'Cause
You're- absolutely.
there
I
seems
think
to be
you
a
helped the
little-
situation.
The level of passion appears to be a little higher than what we're actually dealing with.
Yeah, that's a fair statement.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Tom, go ahead. What's your next?
Well, it was the
Wait a minute. Do you have a question, sir?
question.
Oh. Yeah.
That's what I was trying to get to. Okay, so legal, bylaws, code of ethics, conflict of interest. I just want to say one thing about these bylaws. You had 3 board members who, Jackie Hobson wrote the 2024 bylaws pretty much. Jackie Hobson pretty much writes everything. Right, Linda? Pretty much? Jackie Hobson's calling you up and going over the stuff most
She
of the
was the
time.
one that
Right, yeah.
did the PowerPoint presentation.
No, Forrest did the PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, she
Not
put-
Jackie Hobson. So instead of our guy out there running the plant, he's doing a PowerPoint presentation for Jackie Hobson. But anyway, the 3 of them, Jackie Hobson, Bill Kappas, Tony Silsky, they voted on those bylaws. They didn't want to put them to a vote by the community because there's stuff in there like, you know, they put stuff in there so they're hoping Greg would never get on the board again. And so anyway, they voted on it, but then they put in, oh, you can change these bylaws. You just got to get 400 people to think like you. That's wrong. So what we decided to do is we go back to 2009. We get quite a few people involved. I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 or something like that. Not really quite a few, but to make the bylaws better and then take those bylaws and put it to a vote by the community. The bylaws should be voted by the community every single time. Not 3 board members decide to come up with the bylaws and then stick us with a 400-person vote in order to change a comma on it. That don't make any sense. And that's what was going on. And that's why we repealed them back. It's the only smart thing to do. So that's what we did. Any other questions on that? Okay, the next one is Attorney Scott Seville resignation. Greg, you want to take that one?
Sure. Mr. Seville's been paid over $200,000, thereabouts, if you will. And he has not won a single
Wait a minute,
argument.
is that about right? No, we've been keeping track of all
We
that?
can keep track. Part of that was his and part of it was somebody else's.
But,
Well, what I'm
About-
saying,
what
but
would
he-
you say?
He's been compensated.
Probably,
Yes.
okay.
He's been compensated
Okay.
for writing the bylaws, reviewing
Yes.
bylaws. He's been compensated for.
Everything that we've done, we probably went through him.
Yeah.
A
so-
lot of it.
So
They paid $7,000 to get Greg off the board.
try to figure out a way of circumventing your
And
vote.
17, what was the 17,000 for? With Seville? Anyway, okay, go on.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway,
BOA.
the POA, yes.
Oh, yeah.
They spent, and I was totally against this. Yeah, well, that's coming up. I'll talk about in the next bullet point, but go ahead, Greg, finish up here.
we're
With
talking
Seville,
about
his
him.
resignation. He
Oh, his
really
yeah.
represented Jackie Hobson, Bill Kappas, Tony Silsky. He did not represent Greg. He did not represent me. And so when the three of us got on, and then we're putting Greg back, we're reinstalling Greg back to his rightful position, Seville decided to resign. He could see the writing on the wall. He was not our attorney. He was not. He was their attorney. And I didn't like it. And I told Rick today, I says, we only should, any outstanding bills left, just pay him three-fifths, because he only represented 3 of the 5 board members. But we can't, I don't think we can do that. But anyway, so he decided to resign.
Yeah.
So now we're looking for another attorney. Anybody's got any good ideas? I've got a few I contacted, I'm waiting to hear back from. So, anyway, what? What did you say? Okay. So anyway, third bullet point, SFU versus SFPOA lawsuit. That's another stupid thing. We spent over $17,000, the old board did, suing the POA. The POA, according to Kathy Boggles, spent more than $17,000 defending our lawsuit. That's $35,000 that went, at least that we know, that went to the attorneys. For what? So what we did is we called up, I called up Dan Fee and said, Dan, we'll get a few people together from the board. We can figure this out in one day. Get the lawyers out of it. This is not a big deal. We can solve this problem. We don't need all this litigation and everything. And so that's what we're going to do. And so in the next week or coming up week or two, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to get together and we'll solve it. Stop spending money.
What the record should show, though, is that 4 board members, if you will, lacking Mr. Kappas for whatever, had voted, if you will, to dismiss the case immediately against Shorewood Forest. So I'm saying that was an insane argument. You know, at one time when one of our POA, one of the POA employees came onto the property of the POA of the utility office and said, "You're not to come on this property anymore. Or we're going to have you arrested for trespassing." Now, the part a lot of people don't realize, when they built that building back several years back, Shorewood paid 3/7 of that. Shorewood POA paid 3/7 the cost of that building, and the utility paid 4/7. And the reason why is they had offices and bathrooms and so forth, and the utility really got
Just had a barn.
A pole barn application for it, and it seemed to be fair, 3/7, 4/7, whatever. But then they're telling the POA employees, you can't come on the property. I said, what's wrong with this picture for whatever? So that's why we said we'll completely dismiss this ridiculous argument case. Both the POA and the utility will pull small committees together, appointed by their own group, if you will. They'll get together and they'll come to a reasonable settlement. We don't know who owns what for whatever, but the fact of the matter is what was going on was insane. The arguments and the allegations that was going on was insane. But that's your old board, plain and simple. For the people that are very supportive of them, I understand. That's who they are, though. That's what they did.
Yeah, we'll resolve this pretty quick. It's not hard. We just got to keep the lawyers out of it. Yeah, Susie?
Yeah, I have a question. So I'm just curious.
You have to come up.
Got to come up.
State your name. There, you can state your name. And
You know, see if she just completely ignores the rules instead of sitting there. Just sit there and say,
yes.
Okay.
This one?
So, yeah, I'm just curious, I've heard rumors, that the Shorewood Forest POA has to have this pool repaired. It's gonna cost about $450,000. I just would like to know, is there any sort of quid pro quo agreement between you, Mr. Schaefer, and any board member of the Shorewood Forest POA that you would be given that contract in exchange for dropping the lawsuit against the POA?
Absolutely
No, that's crazy.
not.
Okay,
Absolutely not.
okay.
Let me emphasize now. Absolutely.
Oh, Dan is here.
Mr. Fee, if you'd take the stand.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So that's great to know. Just want to keep
Yeah.
everything
Thank you very
above
much.
board, right?
Thank you.
Another quick question, because you were talking about attorney's fees. So there is a lawsuit of the Stratford Insurance Company versus SFU, as well as you, Greg Schaefer, Carlotta Homes, and those similarly situated. And that lawsuit has been going on for about 4 years. So I would like to know the attorney cost defending the Stratford Insurance lawsuit on
We
the
don't have any money
POA.
invested in
The
that.
Stratford case?
Yeah, for the Stratford case, for the SFU. How much has the SFU paid to defend the Stratford Insurance case?
I don't think it's any money,
Absolutely
right?
zero.
Zero.
The lawyers have not
No?
been, the primary lawyers are there, is Glenn Vishen and Tim Schaefer, and they have not been paid one dime for their services.
I'm sorry, but who are the attorneys for the SFU? For the SFU
That
in
would
that
be,
case?
it was Paraki and
Pracky and
Seville.
Seville.
So you
correct.
have
They're
paid
both different law
Seville.
firms.
Paraki and then the
Paraki.
Board of
So how
Well,
much
no,
did you
it's-
pay Paraki and Seville for
Seville's
representation
been
in that
paid
case?
for other cases, for basically the Bob Welsh case, which was our old lawyer. I don't think there's, what do you think, Linda, how much money is on the Stratford?
I don't even say, but yes, I mean, Stratford is suing us. We have to defend ourselves.
Right, so
Well,
for
how
that
much have we
defense, how
paid
much?
Now, I talked to
has
Tim
been paid?
Schaefer today, and he says that matter's being handled, and he's looking, thinking that it's gonna go away. I can't, say anything more than that, but
I will
I'm
have
not
an answer
For
concerned
the
about
for
it.
you.
SFU, the SFU has, I'm
Right.
sure, its own attorney versus the,
Yes.
Mr. Schaefer here.
Yes.
Carlotta Homes and those similarly situated, which would be the class. So my guess is your brother is the
The
attorney
class
for
is-
you. Is that correct?
No,
Greg?
he's not defending me. No, that'd be incorrect.
He's not defending you in the Stratford Insurance case?
Oh, in the Stratford issue,
That's what I'm
he's
asking.
defending the entire 1,230 people, who's he
Right, but
defending?
you're named in that
1,230 homes.
lawsuit. You're
Homes.
actually
The
named.
members are being defended by Glenn Vishen and Tim Schaefer.
Right,
The 1,200 members,
Right,
not
but-
me, but
well-
I happen to be one of the, yeah, if you're saying, am I
Yeah.
one
Well,
of the
you're named
1,200,
in
I
the
am.
actual lawsuit. The title of the lawsuit is.
Well, get the
Stratford
title of the
Insurance
lawsuit,
Company.
get your ducks straight, and we'll answer that question for you. You're
I'm
saying the
asking
Stratford?
Somebody
you to
has-
get your ducks straight. I'm just asking how much has the SFU paid in defense of this lawsuit?
I'll give you a number. I'll find out.
Okay, not just for me.
No,
yeah, for everybody.
I know that
The next meeting, we can. bring
Glenn Vishen has not been paid a dime.
I know, but you're two
Tim
separate
Schaefer
things,
has
Tom.
put up about 20,000 of his own money for all these lawsuits. He
Expert
has not been
witness.
paid a
Okay,
dime.
my understanding is they are representing the class and Mr.
The
Schaefer
class
and
action
Carlotta
suit,
Homes.
you're
That's
a
my
little
understanding.
confused. The
Greg
class
Schaefer,
action
Carlotta Homes.
suit is actually settled. It's over with.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
over with.
settled, it was dismissed with prejudice, right?
Right.
So it is over,
Correct.
but
So
it
it is
was
over with.
dismissed,
It
but
can't
it
be,
wasn't
it can't be
settled.
re-argued. That is
Right.
correct.
That's
You are a
right.
lawyer, so yes.
So you
That-
lost.
But that is over with. That case is
Right,
over,
that's
which
over
was in
with.
front of Judge Kleinman.
Yeah, so
what are you
what's-
referring to?
I'm talking about the federal lawsuit in federal court, and it's
Are you
Stratford
referring to the $5
Insurance
million
Company.
consent judgment? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, I'm referring.
Explain to me what you're
Well,
looking for.
my understanding is Stratford Insurance Company is alleging fraud, bad faith, and collusion against you, Carlotta Homes, and SFU. That's my understanding just from reading the complaint, which
Right.
everybody, by the way, should do.
There you
It's
go.
very
So
interesting.
you have a good understanding of it. Good.
So I'm asking you, how much money has the SFU paid in defense? Not the class,
no,
not you and Carlotta.
I thought we
Homes,
were on the
just
offense.
the SFU. That's
the
what I'm
trouble,
asking.
the trouble, are you talking, we filed, I mean, not we, the membership, the board of directors membership, if we will, filed against Stratford and got a $5 million consent judgment. Why don't you explain to the court what that,
No,
I mean, same to
why
what
why
that is?
don't you explain when that happened in this?
I'm
There
not
were
gonna
7 lawsuits
The-
here.
the law-
from
the
your
lawyers-
No,
original
they're all
lawsuit.
just about dismissed. There's only 2 left, Stratford and Jensen, that's it.
That is correct.
And
Right,
they're
so I
not
just-
class action.
I'm just asking about the attorney's fees, how much it's cost the SFU. You know, I mean,
Well,
that's what I'm
me
asking.
and Linda had
You
it
guys
down
don't
to
seem
a
know.
penny. And then,
We
once
can
Jackie
do-
came on and started rewriting all the manuals, you just didn't
We'll
have
give it
time.
to
And
you
then they
next-
iced
Yeah, I
me
mean, there's so
out.
many lawsuits here that
And I didn't get the
originated from the
information.
class action lawsuit. It's hard to keep track.
We can do that.
Well, class action's over with.
That's right.
And the lawyers
It's
did
over.
not get paid 1 cent for that. Lawyers
they
didn't
did
get-
not.
Lawyers did not get paid 1
That,
cent.
that's the lawyers that were representing you in the class. So I'm not talking about them, I'm just talking about the SFU lawyers that are defending
Right, I
the,
get you.
the SFU.
That would be,
from the
again, that
Stratford
would be,
Insurance
that would be
Company.
Glenn Vishen and Tim Schaefer.
No, I don't
They've been
think
paid
they're the
nothing.
lawyers. I
They've
think
been
they're
paid
the
nothing.
lawyers
No,
for
they
the
have been
class.
not-
They're
not
the
a dime.
defense attorneys for
Right,
you
Stratford
and the
is-
class. There's separate attorneys for the SFU, so I'm just talking about those. You
Yeah,
understand?
the trouble, you're confused on how it works.
No, I'm not confused. It
You are.
seems you
We
are
need to get Glenn
confused.
You are, you're
Vishen here
confused.
next
Right,
week,
you're-
next
you're
month.
actually
The
confused.
issue between Stratford and the SFU, if you will, is really one and the same. What they did was not proper or whatever. And so we filed suit against them and they counterclaimed against us. That's how.
No, no, they actually filed
You
suit
know,
against
but
you.
you know what?
actually.
Let's move on here. What, next, Tom?
Okay, last thing, purchases and repairs. We had to purchase a cutter pump. That's the third pump for the main lift station, so we don't get the high level marks. It cost $8,500.
We didn't talk about the overflow of Wilshire, that's on the agenda.
The overflow in Wilshire. Did I
He's
miss
trouble,
that?
I can tell you
Oh, hold
now.
it.
Yeah.
Where's that at?
Doesn't matter.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sewage overflow. It's kind of a funny story in a way. Anyway, Greg and I go down there. The sewer, for
The
next to
manhole.
the lake,
Yeah, there's a
the main line, the main sewer is running right by the lake, and the manholes are down by the lake. And the one manhole, Rick's seen it because he lives on Wilshire. The sewage is coming up and overflowing and running into the lake. So Greg and I go down there, and I ask Forrest Jr. what's going on. He's not going to tell me anything. They like they've been told, don't talk to Tom. So I said, okay, well, we'll just go down there. So Greg's recording with his phone, and I go down there, and we get down there, and Forrest starts, now the Big Blue, that big Vector truck we got is up at the street, and there's a 200-foot line going into a sewer hole, and they were using, I think it's about 5,000 PSI of pressure.
Yeah, mhm.
And it's down into the manhole, and they're trying to blast away all the paper and everything that's plugged up in there. And anyway, so Forrest starts reeling it in, and you should know better. You turn the pressure off. You don't leave it on. That nozzle, I'm walking down there, walking past the sewer hole, and Mike's down there, and he was waving us like, stay on this side of the property or something like, I don't know what that's all about, but we're gonna stay on one side of the line. But when I get down there, going to the lake, that nozzle comes out of that sewer, and that thing is,
Dangerous.
and there's shit all over that hose, and it's flying shit everywhere, and I was covered with shit. And then the pressure is still going, and that thing came, and I'd say that nozzle head's about 7 pounds.
Oh, jeez.
And it's traveling about 20 miles an hour. It hit me in the shoulder, and I couldn't raise my arm for 4 days. I didn't go get it x-rayed or anything. Greg got hit in the foot, and his foot swelled up.
Yeah.
And we didn't say anything. Didn't say it, just, but I mean, you can't be doing stuff like that. You gotta turn the pressure off. Forrest should know better.
What was your
He
question?
should know better.
What was your
The
question?
question was,
Tom, wait a minute.
the
Yeah.
question was about the overflow at Wilshire.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is that sewage did get into the lake. Dan had to shut the lake down until they took E. coli test before you can, right, Dan? Yeah, before you can open up the lake. And what that's all about is you have to keep these lines clean. You can't wait for stuff to happen before you do something about it. And there's been a lot of, that's the culture at Shorewood Forest Utilities. Wait till it breaks and then we'll fix it. Well, that becomes very expensive. And that's what happened. The line got plugged, should have never been plugged, dumped sewage into the lake. Dan had to shut the lake down till they ran E. coli tests.
Come on up here.
But that was the fault of the SFU. There was nothing going on with the POA that they caused the problem.
Terry Bonich, I'm president of Arbor Lakes Estates, 425 West Sandhurst. So along the subject of lines, you guys are aware that they did a lot of televising over in Arbor Lakes, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, we did. I was looking at your videos yesterday, in fact.
So that was my question. Forrest called me over a couple of weeks ago, showed me all these terrible videos. And-
They're not that terrible, but they're videos.
Okay, so just kind of trying to get a scope of what we were talking about. He had planned at the time to go out for bids. He couldn't do that because of the rule, the 60-day rule, what have you. But he threw a number out there like $200,000 or $300,000 to get this grouting done because there's so many leaks in the sewer lines. The financials that were handed out at the annual meeting, and I don't.
Yes, sir.
Well, actually, it's one of the write-ups that were handed out. It shows there's unrestricted funds of $866,000. So whether it would be 200 or 300,000 or 100,000, that's a chunk of that 866. So would the utility pay for that out of the unrestricted funds, or?
Yeah, we're not gonna take out a bond, if that's what you're referring to.
Well, I'm asking a question.
We'll just pay it out of the unrestricted funds.
Okay, so you're just gonna write a check for
Just write a check.
$250,000?
Just write a check for $250,000. Right, Linda? That's how we do it.
Well,
Just write the check.
first of all, I have a great deal of experience there.
And I don't mean that sarcastically.
No,
I'm just.
you're
That's
serious,
what happened.
you're serious.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of sewer work before, and I reviewed that camera very well. And we do have two areas that certainly brought attention to me for whatever that probably needs to be addressed. Now, when I looked at it, I wasn't dead certain, if you will, if it was a leak or was it a possible sump pump tied into the sewer. I must tell you, we don't know that yet.
No, because our people are older than me.
Well-
They would not even know to do that. I can almost guarantee you
Well,
that that's not the case.
Yeah, but, I appreciate that, and I'm not saying that's what happened. What I'm simply saying is they had a contractor build the house, and you don't know what the contractor did with that, with the septic. We have them in Shorewood. We have houses in Shorewood that still have there's sump pumps tied into the sewer. In fact, I fixed 2 of them last year, as far as that goes for me.
fair enough.
But my point being is that I've looked at the tapes myself, and I want to put cameras right back in that immediate area, because the nature preserve area is a very high flow of water, very high flow, and they're blaming a great deal of this problem on your subdivision for whatever. And I'm saying, yeah, a little bit of it is, but we have a line running under that swamp. I need to televise that to see if in fact that's not where the real problem's at, and address your concerns. You as president should come down and take a look at it.
Now,
when we do.
my thing is, let's fix all the piping first, and then we can start on the inside of the plant. Let's get all the piping done, because when we get a big belly gusher out there, we can get as many as 800,000 gallons in a day.
Okay, so you guys you're on it. That's
Now, we're on it.
You got something else?
I just wanted to reemphasize the first gentleman that was talking about the one vote.
Yes, sir.
Because Mr. Schaefer's 1,000% correct. We're in non-compliance with the IRS, and we have been for a number of years.
Yes, we have.
They can take our certification away tomorrow if they want to. There's about 4 points where you have to comply with, and one member, one vote is one of those points. I'm not looking at it as an Arbor Lakes resident that it's not, the half vote is not fair. I'm not looking at it from that point of view. It's simple. It's in the IRS regulations.
Yes,
Now,
sir. You're correct.
What worries me a little bit is that's in the bylaws.
That's what we're going to revise.
Okay, but Tom just said the members are going to have to vote to revise the bylaws.
Yes, the members should
No,
vote to
wait a minute,
revise the
wait a minute,
bylaws.
wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. There's a little level of confusion on that. I am not looking to have the membership vote on each and every item, for instance. We have to have a board of directors that make decisions, like, for instance, repairing these lines.
but-
Let me finish, and I'm just saying, so the fact of the matter is we have to use common sense here. Are we gonna ask the membership, do we stay with the half vote, or do we do what we know has to be, that we're in violation of the law for whatever?
No, he's talking about the bylaws in general, that
Right.
when the bylaws get
My
fixed,
point being is the bylaws
Then-
are in conflict with the tax filing that they are using.
We'll
It's in
straighten it
conflict.
out. We'll
Right,
straighten
and
it out.
what we're saying is that's what it'll do. It'll be a change in
And
the
then the membership
bylaws,
can vote on
if
it.
you will, to revise that, because the bylaws are inconsistent with the state law as far as that goes, so.
I'm not trying to be argumentative.
No,
But-
not taken as such.
Tom is saying the members are gonna have to vote to change the bylaws.
no, the members are going to vote on the new bylaws.
Yeah, on-
Not just 3 board members voting on it and saying, here it is, deal with it.
Okay.
No.
But
Let me-
to go back to the full vote, can you retroactively just go back to 2009 bylaws?
Yeah, I've
Yes.
checked with, yeah.
Yes,
we
I
can do it.
can-
We just repeal them because we still have bylaws. It's
Here-
just that
here-
okay,
we're
that's-
just
that's
gonna
fine.
fix.
Terry, here's the situation. Let me have it floor just for a second.
Okay.
First of all, the 2009 bylaws have really been screwed down so tight that the membership only participates in 2 votes. 2 votes. One vote is if they expand the CTA area, which is the certified territorial area. In other words, we want to bring in a new subdivision. The membership has a choice whether they want to expand that or not. So that has to go to the membership. The other one is, the term is that the membership must participate in a vote to extend the purchase of bonds to do a construction project, for instance.
But
Now,
you
Tom, let me just finish. But the key word is their bonds. For instance, if they go down to the local bank and say, hey, we want to borrow, $500,000, will you
gonna
lower
say.
us? Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. We want to borrow $500,000. They can, as it's written right now, they can do that. They can borrow $5 million if they want. As long as they don't use bonds, don't use the word bonds, they can do that. That needs to be remedied
That needs to
also.
be tightened up. That's
Right.
what I was
I'm
just gonna
saying,
say.
any level of financing of X number of dollars needs to be approved by the membership, because the membership is taking on that debt for whatever,
And the membership should be able to vote on when we spend a large amount of
Well,
money.
that's perfectly agreeable, obviously, but what is the 2009 bylaws? Do they have 2 classes of members in those bylaws?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they do, sir.
So if the members are gonna vote on the bylaws,
They're not gonna have
No,
a
not
vote,
gonna
they're
vote
not
on
gonna
those
have a
bylaws.
vote on that issue. We don't, you're under the impression that every single change you make in the bylaws is gonna go to the membership. At least in my vote, it is not.
Okay.
It is not. My vote is, we must be compliant with the law, otherwise we could be because here's the other thing, nobody's saying it out loud, but if the IRS comes in and says, wait a minute, you're not a 501c12. Now, a very prominent company in Indianapolis called, London Whitty, about 7, 8, 9 years ago said, wait a minute, people, you to the board of directors under an audit, you are not following the 501c law. He said, you're in violation, we're telling you now that they have nothing to gain by telling you that. It fell on deaf ears, they continued down the path. If the IRS comes in and says, we're gonna audit you, they can go back 10 years and collect those taxes. 10 years. So, if you're saying, me sitting in this seat, I said, I am not going to even let that exist. I said, I'm going to get this back in check. We're going to be compliant.
We
If you don't
fix
like
the
it-
bylaws, we put the entire bylaws to the vote by the membership. Just put them.
Yeah,
And then you either vote them up or you vote them down. You vote them down, okay, we'll refix it.
Yeah.
We'll get it right until you vote for it. That's all.
oh, okay, so that's the key. It's gonna be
That's the key. The membership should be voting. If I was sitting in that audience, I'd be mad as hell if somebody tried
So
to.
you're gonna
read
amend the
stuff past me.
bylaws in a few different ways.
Well,
Right, there's
Well,
quite a few
And the
changes that's
membership
gotta
is
go
just
in
gonna
there.
vote on that entire package.
Entire package is right.
Thanks, guys.
Right, and committees from all subdivisions will be invited in
Right.
as special committees. We're not gonna sit down and just do what we want.
No,
We're gonna
not
bring
just
some
3 board
special
members.
committees in there and get input from your subdivisions, for Sagamore, Edgewood. Everybody will bring a person in, show what their level of interest is, and will help with the participation of rewriting.
Another thing we're not gonna do, which is famous with a lot of boards, is the so-called executive sessions.
Yeah.
The previous board had an executive session. One of the things in the session was what kind of pizza they have on the annual meeting. Now, why does that have to be voted? In an executive session, you people can't show up. Why does that have to be voted in secret? That to me, with us, every meeting's public. There are no little secret meetings unless it has to do with legal stuff, right?
Yep.
You can't,
Right.
because
Technically-
legal stuff, we gotta.
The
but
only time
I
we're
keep
supposed to
that
be,
to a minimum.
the only time we're supposed to be meeting in closed session where the members aren't privy to what's going on is when you're actually dealing with issues referring to.
Health?
No, yeah, or like
what are they-
personnel issues. If we think Joe Blow, our employee, is stealing material, if we go out and say
No,
that publicly, and he said, I never stole the thing, and he proves they never stole the thing, somebody else did, we're liable. So they do let you go into an executive session and privately decide those kind of issues.
HIPAA laws, stuff like that,
But-
and legal.
right,
Other
and
than that,
contract-
and I don't anticipate us having more than one or two of those meetings
Yeah,
a year.
I'm saying- well, I'm
But
saying-
everything else is gonna be done in front of the public.
Yep.
I'm so tired of this, where things are done in secrecy, and I mean, I've been on the bad end of not being told what's going on and that, and I'm sick of it. I'm just sick of it.
Well,
So-
even like today, even today, it came across, I happen to be in the office, and our IT guy, who does our IT work for our computer, says, I have a new contract coming up, here's the new contract for whatever, he's going from $350 a month as a base fee. It just costs is making me go to $400 for whatever. I'm saying, okay, I talked to the regular board members, I say, no problem, but we can't take that action over the phone. I said, we'll bring it to the board in front of the membership, and I'm gonna tell you it's gonna pass. He's gonna get his $50 a year month raise for whatever, but as of right now, it has not passed. We're gonna do it in front of you. We're gonna ask for input. Do you think it shouldn't be done for whatever? And then we'll make our decision. But that's how we'll run this show, whether people like it or not, that we will be up front.
Yeah.
Do we have anything else or any other
I have
comments?
a quick question. Are we still having our meetings the third Monday of every month?
Well, that's what the bylaws currently
Yeah.
say, so right now, that's what we'll be doing.
And at
That's what we'll be
7
doing.
o'clock, we were having
We
them
just
at
wanted to
6.
kind of diffuse some of
here.
these rumors that going
Right,
around.
so we
here.
will have another one?
The third Monday?
Yeah, what are we on now? I don't even know.
Well, with that,
No.
No, not
No.
be next week. No,
Next
we won't
month.
have one in July. We already,
So we'll have
it's already
one
been
the
two
third
SFPs.
week, so unless there's some kind of problem, it should be,
Right.
it'll be on the website if there's some reason we had to cancel or something, but it will always be here and it will always be at 7,
Yeah.
correct?
Well, as
Right.
unless
Yeah.
Mr. Feast throws us out, yes.
Yeah, until Mr. Dan throws us out, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hats off to you, Dan.
Is there anything else, Tom?
Not that I can see. Susie?
Anybody
Susie,
else make a last minute
comments from the
comment? How
membership,
surprising,
Susie?
how surprising, we have another comment.
Come on.
I'm just wondering how much it's costing to have this, recording.
Free.
$1,500.
No.
Does that,
Free.
wait a minute, Tom, $1,500, does that sound expensive?
I'm just asking.
No, he's doing this, sir. He's not charging us.
Tom, tell him what you're doing.
I make my money from lawyers and insurance companies.
You're volunteer. That's very generous.
Yeah, he's volunteering. It's time. It's not costing us
Let's
anything.
hear it for Mike Monaco.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna.